Sairam dear all, and welcome to the podcast entitled The Science of Mantras. My name is Rajaeswary, and together with my friends Neelakkshi and Harresh, today we will be speaking to Hari Anna from Sathya Sai Baba Center of SS3. This podcast will focus on the third form of devotion in the Navavida Bhakti journey, which is Smaranam. Smaranam refers to remembrance of the names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord, the third step of the ninefold process of bhakti. The first step, Shravanam, is listening to the glories of the Lord, for that is how one comes to know the Lord. The second step, Kirtanam, is singing and glorifying His name. And the third step, Smaranam, is remembering the Lord, His glories, and His teachings. Swami says that what is heard is retained only if one contemplates on it. Remembrance, contemplation, and reflection fills the holes in our mind. The more one does, so the extra he remembers. It is only contemplation that makes Shravanam listening complete. To practice Smaranam, we may choose to contemplate on the Lord's name, His form, His leelas, or His words. In today's podcast, we will be focusing on using mantras as the tool for contemplation and remembrance of the Lord. Today we are very lucky to have Hari Anna from Sathya Sai Baba Center of SS3 to share his thoughts using Swami's teachings on the use of mantras to practice Smaranam. So let's dive straight into the questions.
Sairamane, I have a question. The word mantra has two components. Man, which means mind, and three, which means to cross. So, that which enables us to cross the ocean of the mind is a mantra. How can we use mantras to practice Smaranam or remembrance of the Lord's name?
Smarana means remembering the divine at all times. Wherever you are, practicing bhakti means keeping God at the forefront of your mind. It involves focusing your mind, your emotions, and senses on God. The aim is actually to feel love while contemplating on His form and eventually merge with that feeling that you are one with Him, or at least be aware that God is by your side all the time. So, Smaranam is a kind of meditation. Meditation can be done in many ways, right? There is no single or correct approach. The aim is constantly to keep reminding ourselves of Him in every small way possible. So you can remember Him through singing about Him, chanting His name. All this should lead to Smaranam. So you can participate in Smaranam through Shravanam, which is listening, or you can you can do Smaranam through Kirtanam, the way you glorify Him through the meaning of a song, right? So whatever we speak or hear, we shall later contemplate or meditate upon. So with Smaranam means again, yeah, it's to contemplate on Him, is the next level to fully live in His thoughts. One of the ways to allow us to focus our minds on something is by chanting mantras. So one of the best ways to do that is by chanting mantras. Yeah. So because meditation does not come easily to everyone, and many people find it very difficult to find the right time and space to practice and maintain focus, right? Because Swami has said we have this monkey mind. So maybe sometimes using a mantra, some people use songs, some people just listen to talks and discourses and whatever not. But another way to contemplate or to meditate on His form is by chanting a mantra. Right? A mantra can make it easier by reducing all those wandering thoughts around. The senses are very restless. All our senses, our eyes, ears, our mouth, all the five senses are very, very restless. So we need to contain and keep our senses calm so that we can start focusing on God in easier ways, right, throughout the day, right? If you're repeating a mantra in your head or out loud, the mantra occupies your full awareness and helps prevent it from drifting off to other directions. what are the examples? Some of the examples of very great devotees who have practiced this Maranam technique is Prahalada. Prahalada, the one who Narasimha saved, Lord Vishnu took the form of Narasimha. The little boy Prahalada just totally lived, right? He lived and breathed the form of the Lord. He constantly kept chanting Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. But Om Namo Narayana was not just being uttered through his mouth. He, when he said Om Namo Narayana, he believed in it. He believed that Lord Vishnu was there with him. He was put into trial, he was put into death, he was thrown into a lion's den. His father tried to kill him in so many ways, but what he did was he was so absorbed in that form of Narayana, in remembering him through chanting his name, that he was always saved. And finally, you know the story that Narasimha comes out to save him, right? Another one is Bharata from the Ramayana, who is Rama's brother. When Rama went for exile, Bharata took Lord Rama's sandals and he came back to Ayodhya. And keeping Rama's sandals on the throne and ruling the entire kingdom, they said he himself became Rama. When Rama returned back to Ayodhya, they couldn't tell the difference between Bharata and Rama because they were so alike, they looked alike. Now, how did this happen? Because Bharata, day and night, everything he did, he was contemplating on Rama. He fixed his mind on Rama. He said, I would want to do what Rama would do. So he emulated Rama. He was merged one with him. So whatever decision he made, it was Rama, Rama, Rama. Everything was done on the name of Rama, thinking of Rama. For me, that's one of the most powerful examples of how you can merge one. He governed the entire country. So thinking of God doesn't mean you have to stop everything and sit down somewhere in meditation. It is about doing your daily activities, but with the presence of the Lord in your mind. Right. Another person is, of course, Hanuman. Hanuman kept chanting Rama's name, and he was so absorbed in Rama that the name of Rama gave him so much of strength. Right. Everywhere he saw was Rama, Rama, Rama. Likewise, Sita was the same thing. She was tormented by Ravana's people, but Sita kept Rama in her mind all the time, and she was strong. She was so strong because she had Rama firmly fixed in her mind, so she could go through all her troubles because she knew, she had a faith that Rama would come. So have that name always in your tongue, in your thoughts, right? And we can be brave, and things will, it'll make us strong, right? So that is how we can start practicing Smaranam, or that's the meaning and how we can start practicing Smaranam.
Sairamane, I have a doubt. In the midst of our so called busy schedules, how can we practice Smaranam through chanting of mantras?
A very, very important question. How do we practice while we lead very busy lives? I think that is one of the excuses that we all give, right? Our lives are so busy and we have so many things going on. And so, where is the time to think of God? I think I think we should ponder for a while and take a seat back and think, how many times a day do we waste in things that are not important, right? If actually we close our eyes and we think or we calculate the amount of time that we have wasted in a day, we you will see that actually we have wasted a lot of time in a day, and during those moments we could have done something more beneficial with our time. So but Swami says, do not calculate the length of the time you have spent in repeating the Lord's name, right? Calculate rather the length of time that you have wasted not thinking of him. So I would say a designated time to remember him gives us a strong focus, right? So when I was young, I've always stuck to this formula, which Swami has mentioned and a lot of our elders have mentioned. It's called CIA, which is called Constant Integrated Awareness. In simple terms, It means plugging in with God all day, right? So you plug in. Sometimes we are plugged in, we go for bhajans, we feel motivated, we feel inspired, we hear a talk, we feel inspired. So all those things that we do, the activities that we do, we are plugged in with divinity. So we feel inspired. The moment we lose focus or we feel not inspired, which means that we have plugged out from him. So how do we keep plugging in with him? How do we keep that connection going? Because he is there all the time. He wants to connect with us now. So he is there all the time. So how can we plug in so that every time we close our eyes or every time we're doing something, we are aware that he is with us, right? Sometimes we get disconnected. Never mind, keep reminders, right? To remind us of how we can plug into him on a daily basis, right? Again, the examples was always Hanuman. Whatever Hanuman did, Hanuman always used Rama, 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 Rama. He spiritualized everything he did. So everything he did was in the name of Rama, right? He did the work, whatever work he did, whatever things, even he ate, he told Rama, right? Even he was sleeping, so everything, whether consciously or unconsciously, even when the tongue is just keep chanting, repeating his name, it is going into the subconscious mind, right? So it's very powerful to just to be able to just chant his name, because it is going somewhere. It is creating a benefit, right? So you have to do your duty in a day, but that doesn't mean you have to stop everything and sit down somewhere and chant, right? So um, select a name, right? Select a name or a form of your favorite god and keep reminding of the name. Chant the name, and bring it to your mind's eye. So if it's Ganesha, bring Ganesha to your mind's eye. Now imagine Ganesha. How does he look now with a curved trunk? Vakra Tunda Mahakaya. Vakra means curved Tunda means curved trunk, right? Maha means big, Kaya means body, Surya Koti, the one who's effulgent, Surya, okay, the one who's effulgent, 1 million suns. So imagine Ganesha who's effulgent, who's burning bright, and so as strong as the sun, right? So these are all visualizations that you can actually have when you're chanting a mantra, right? So you imagine him, the moment you imagine him, you feel him. If you're going to chant a mantra just verbally and not understanding the meaning, then it's just going to be staying at the surface level. But if you can close your eyes, whatever you are chanting, whatever you are singing, if you're able to close your eyes and visualize the meaning of the mantra, the meaning of the song, that then becomes meditation. It becomes Smaranam. Smaranam is to visualize him. So any kind of meditation you're doing, even light meditation you're doing, is Smaranam, right? But here in specific, we're trying to share how constantly using mantras we can be reminded of his form. So select a god form, favorite, whoever it is, right? Keep it in your mind's eye. That is what is called japa mantra dhyanam. Dhyanam means to contemplate with a mantra or a japa, a recitation of his name. So it's a recitation of name come meditation. It does not need any special timing or any extra time in a day, right? It can be done always, whether you're bathing, right? And anytime, whether you're bathing, you're eating, before you go to sleep, you're walking, you're jogging, all the hours now is all the hours we have is spent in unnecessary activities, right? Okay, for example, when I jog, when I run, that's the best time. I chant, I keep chanting, I chant and chant. Sometimes I imagine that when I'm jogging, my goal is actually Swami, so I imagine his form at the last point where I'm supposed to, so I run towards it like he's my goal. I keep talking to him, so many ways that we can try to establish connection. God is not only in your altar, but this whole Smaranam, what we want to do is we want to invoke God's presence so that he can be with us all the time.
Sairam Haryana, I have a question for you. What is the best way to chant mantras to inculcate the power of contemplation or remembrance in us and not do it as a mundane activity?
it starts small. Okay, it's a practice. So for example, how you can do this is, for example, if you wake up in the morning, the first thing you open your eyes, you want to say Om Shri Sai Ram, and you stretch instead of saying yo another day, kind of a thing. So you say Om Shri Sai Ram, and then that gives you a kind of a jolt, and you when you get up, and then next thing when you're showering, you're going to shower. As you're showering, chant a mantra, chant Gayatri. I do chant Gayatri when I'm showering because I just feel it's purifying. As I'm chanting, I'm doing Abhishekam for myself. So powerful, imagine the sun, the water is dropping on your body. Imagine Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tat Savitur Varenyam, to that divine life, of source of energy that is there. Imagine as the water is falling on you, you're fully cleansing yourself and energizing yourself with the power of Gayatri. Yeah, pick something easy to chant. Yeah, don't have to chant something so complicated. Even Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Imagine when you say chant, imagine Ganesha, from your mind's eye going down to the center of your heart, and in the center of the heart, imagine a nice, beautiful lotus opening its petal, and your favorite god form is sitting down there, and you keep chanting Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, or Vakratunda, Guru Brahma, whatever mantra which is dedicated to your favorite god form, right? So Swami says to students, he says, my suggestion to you boys and girls today is, just as you attend to the needs of the body, feeding it 3 times a day in order to keep it good and running trim, so to spend time regularly every day to keep your inner consciousness also good and trim. Spend 1 hour in the morning, another one in the night, and the third early hours in the morning. So do Smaranam and contemplate on his form. You will find great peace descending on you and great new sources of strength welling up within you as you progress through the day. This is what Prahalada did. After some time, the mind will dwell on the name wherever you are and whatever you engaged in, and then peace and joy will be your inseparable friends. So, my dear friends, it's actually what Swami is trying to say is, you just have to make it a habit. Once it becomes a habit, anywhere you are, you close your eyes, you can imagine him, right? You don't need all those extra tools of songs and whatever not. You close your eyes and you can only visualize him. So now I would like to use Gayatri mantra, right? Om Bhur Bhuvas Swaha. Om. So when you say Om, so when you chant Gayatri mantra, so you're supposed to Om Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dev. It just becomes mechanical. But the real way of chanting Gayatri mantra, you get up in the morning, 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the afternoon, 3 times in the evening. You chant and you really focus all your thought in it. So Om, when you chant the Om, imagine the entire Om is the sound of creation. That is what is humming in the entire cosmos and the world. Scientists have found in the space there's always this humming sound called So that's why our rishis called it the Om. That's what the sound is pervading around the universe. So when you chant the Om, imagine your whole body is vibrating with that sound. Om, from head to toe. Just imagine that vibration going all the way down. Then the next line comes Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Then you imagine Bhur means the earth, Bhuva means the sky, Swaha means the heaven. So earth, which means your body, you're talking about your physical body. Then your heavens, Bhur Bhuva. Bhuva is your mental body. And then finally Swaha, which is the heaven, which is actually your Atmic body, right? So all the 3 levels of body, you're invoking the power of Om is penetrating. Imagine the Om sound is penetrating to your physical, mental, and your soul, right down to your soul. Imagine it crosses all 3 different levels of your psyche, right? Om Bhuvaswaha. Then you come to start Tat Savitur Varenyam. This whole line is where you're adoring, right? The adoration starts here. Tat, to that. Savitur, to that. Savitur means the sun, or that everlasting, ultimate, formless God, the life force of everything that is in the world. Tat Savitur, to that light. Savitur Varenium, that means I adore. So that whole line of the Gayatri mantra is to adore. Tat Savitur Varenium. Then comes the next line. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. The third line is contemplation. That whole line is contemplation. So the first line is adoration. Second line is contemplation. What does it mean? Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. I meditate on that divine effulgence. I meditate on that divine light, that powerful light from the sun, right? If you can't imagine the sun, imagine Mother Gayatri. If you can't imagine Mother Gayatri, imagine Swami. So I imagine Swami, like Swami is in the power, in that light. Swami is glowing like a sun, right? So Gayatri mantra does not have any particular form. So you can attach, it's a universal prayer. So you can attach any of your favorite God forms to that power of the sun and invoke the power of the sun through your favorite God form, right? So Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. I contemplate. That means I meditate on the power of this divine light. Whoever the divine light is giving you, Swami or Ganesha or Hanuman or Jesus, whoever it is. Then the last line is where you make a prayer, yeah? Make a prayer of surrender. Dhiyo yona prachodayat, which means please illumine, right? My intellect. Illumine my intellect means you're asking the Lord, the light, there's divine light now, to come and take away all the darkness, and so that I have the right capacity to think and do what is right, the discriminative power, right? So the Gayatri mantra, if you see, is beautifully already structured in a very beautiful way, where Tat Savitur Varenyam, you adore that being, right? You're adoring that light. Then Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi is the meditation part of the entire Gayatri, where you're meditating on the power behind the light of the sun. Then finally, you make a prayer. After that, it becomes Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. So likewise, it's the Gayatri Mantra is perfect for you to do every day as a part of a contemplation.
How does the remembrance or contemplation of the Lord's name bring us closer to Swami?
Obstacles. You see, every mantra has a story behind it. Every mantra, from how you look into it, that means you adore the form, then from that form, you are making a prayer. Every mantra is being designed like that. And mantra means, again, what is mantra? Mantra means it is a tool, it's a vehicle for the mind, to transport the mind. Man means the mind. Tra means vehicle. It's like a transport. So when you chant a mantra, is supposed to transport the mind to something really focused, right? So that the mind is focused on something. That's why the mantra is so important, for you to be able to think of God. So it could be anything. It could be even a simple chant. Let's not get stuck that you must chant a mantra alone, right? So I took Gayatri as an example because Gayatri is beautifully already structured in such a way, right? So think about God. Think about God anywhere, anytime you can, right? Now, Swami is very, 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 very loving wherever he just wants us to keep chanting his name, right? Because you see, the moment something, just say you're having a problem and you have this habit of thinking of him all the time, or, mentioning his name somewhere, and you're in trouble, that habit becomes an automatic nature in you. Then when you're in trouble, you're automatically chanting Gayatri, and Gayatri will help you. Gayatri will protect you, or whatever mantra, Saishwarai Vikmahi Satyadevai Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodaya. It's the same thing, right? Saishwarai Vikmahi, you're asking Swami, okay, you're meditating on Swami and asking him to give you the power of discrimination. So all this is actually a prayer to be able to focus your mind so that you'll be able to connect. So I'll go back again. Whatever we do, Smaranam is to be able to connect with the divine source, to be able to allow him to walk with you, right? Because if you keep thinking about him, you don't need a special place to sit and pray, because everywhere you go you can contemplate, and the moment you contemplate you can invoke him anywhere. And that's the power of contemplation, right? But it is a process, because our mind is very, very fickle. Our mind is like a monkey mind, so we need sometimes to focus on something. So the mantra helps you to focus. And when you start slowly going, calming yourself down and imagining the form, a fair form of Ganesha or Baba, then from there, when you're calm and you're contemplating, then you slowly go into meditation, right? That is the process. That's why first you must concentrate, then you contemplate, and then only last comes meditation, right? So first, the important thing, mantra helps you to concentrate on something, concentrate on the beauty and the glory of God. And that's what Prahlada just kept thinking of Vishnu, the beauty of Vishnu, how he sits on the eagle, his shankar, his chakra, and everything. They all dwell in the beauty of the Lord, right? Mirabai, what she did, she was literally she was in high, she was like high in thinking of Krishna. Nothing mattered. You can come and give her a tight slap, you can push her into the river, you can push her from the mountain. She is just lost, intoxicated. So how do you reach to that part? I mean, of course, we can't be doing that in our daily lives, right? But if you're in an office, nobody's asking you to stop work and start no. But we are try to keep some reminders in front of you. For example, if you're sitting down in the table, I keep Swami's picture everywhere I go, so that when I see, I can stop and I can think of him, because we do get carried away with a lot of things, right? So sometimes in your car, in your office, I keep photos of Swami everywhere, so that whenever I see it, it reminds me of it, helps me. The mind needs some help to remind, right? So I look at it and then I start reminding, okay, Swami, you're here. Then I take a moment, I just close my eyes, I imagine Swami, that's where you are. Okay, I imagine him, I imagine falling in his feet, and I imagine him blessing me, and that gives me a sudden power, a sudden kind of a strength to do, if I'm really tired or uninspired, so that I do. Then before I go to sleep, I close my eyes and I also invoke him. I said, oh Lord, I'm coming back to you now. I'm coming back to your feet. I'm going to retire for the night. Whatever problems I've carried on for the whole day, I'm putting it all at your feet. I'm coming back to you with no headache in my, with not all this heavy head and heavy problems. It is not mine, but it's yours. So that contemplation takes place. Then you do a night prayer. You do Gayatri. So my dear friends, I think very, very important as youngsters, I think as youths, something that always, the one thing that always helped me to get distracted from the temptations that are around the world is um, being able to constantly put my mind on God. Sometimes it's not easy, but it's a constant practice. And God wants to see you making that effort. If you take that one step in trying, trust me, He will help you reach that journey and make things easier for you. Because moment you feel you can connect, and you feel that oneness with Him, He's walking with you like a friend. When you contemplate on Him, that is the most beautiful feeling ever. It's like you've touched this elixir, or the nectar of life, and you feel, wow, I want this feeling. It's very addictive, actually. You want him to be with you all the time. And so Smaranam is a very, very important aspect of worship, part of the 9 worships. So whatever you hear, Shravanam, whatever you sing or you chant, Kirtanam, must all now turn into contemplation and visualization. And that can be done through mantras, through Vedic chanting, through songs. As I said, you can do it. Smaranam is, you can practice Smaranam in Shravanam, you can practice Smaranam in Kirtanam, and you can practice Smaranam by totally chanting mantras and doing a lot more other things, right?
Wow, that was indeed a great session, everyone, by Hari and Nair. We have learned so much about Smaranam, on how mantras can be used to think and contemplate on the Lord. Hari and Nair has beautifully explained that mantras can be very simple yet a powerful tool to keep us plugged in and connected to Swami no matter where we are. We have also heard wonderful examples such as Bharata, Hanuman, and Prahalada, who can inspire us to chant the Lord's name through mantras to give us strength to face any challenges in our daily life. The beauty of using mantras for Smaranam is that we can easily incorporate into our daily life as Haryanesh has shared about his jogging experience. When we make this a part of our daily routine, this will become a habit and make us feel very much closer to Swami. We also heard beautiful insights into a few mantras such as Vakratunda, Gayatri Mantra, and Sai Gayatri. The takeaway message is that no matter what the mantra is, the function is to make us remember and contemplate on the Lord. Therefore, to make our monkey mind more calm and connected to the Lord. Swami says that we do all our lives will come to us at our last moment too. If we have lived a life full of attachment to the world, then that is what will come to the mind at the last moment. If one has remembered the Lord in everything that has passed, the Lord will come to his mind. The choice is ours. With that, once again, we thank Haryana for his time and precious sharing. We pray that Swami will bless us all with love and strength to get closer to him through Smaranam.
Sai Ram, and thank you so much.